What is going on, everybody? What is going on, the Catch fam? My name is Jon Dawson, and in today's video, we are hopping into another 2022 fantasy football mock draft. In today's video, we will be drafting an 8-team full PPR mock through the ESPN platform. We have got the first overall selection, got this request and got it on the schedule right away. Of course, if you guys have any mock draft requests, feel free to drop them in the comment section down below and I will work them into the schedule. Does not matter what score and format, number of teams, what platform, whatever you guys need, we will get it on the schedule. If you guys do enjoy today's content, be sure to hit that like button down below, hit that subscribe button if you are new to the channel. We put out free daily fantasy football content, and on top of that, we are running a free subscriber mock draft nearly every single night of the channel, so be sure to join our Discord down below as well in order to get our mock draft invites. And with that, we'll go ahead and kick off another 2022 fantasy football mock draft. All right, so sitting at 1.1 overall, I'm going running back no matter what, whether it's JT or CMC. Those are really the only two guys for me who are in contention for the first overall selection. If you like a little bit of a higher ceiling, but maybe some risk involved, maybe some boom or bust potential, not really on a weekly basis, but on a seasonal basis, then CMC is probably your guy. If you like a little bit more consistency, then JT is the guy. But do keep in mind, it's been a very, very long time since we've seen an RB1 from the previous season repeat as an RB1 the following season. But I just think JT is an absolute lock for a top 5 running back overall. So I'll go JT here, and I'm not concerned about him leading my backfield whatsoever. So we'll take JT with the first overall selection in an 8-team draft. What I'm really looking for is positional advantage throughout the entire draft. I think we've already established that at the running back position, and we just saw Justin Jefferson go at 1.2. And I mean, really, in a PPR style 8-team mock draft, I don't think that's crazy, because gaining positional value at receiver is just as important as it is at running back, and really it's just as important as it is at tight end and quarterback. So we'll see how the first round shapes out, and then we'll start to think about where we want to go at pick 16 and 17, going with one of those stud tight ends. I know I've said this in just about every single 8-team mock that I've thrown together for the channel this offseason, but really going for one of those top 2 tight ends, Travis Kelce or Mark Andrews, is just so important to me in these 8-team mocks. But I think we may be able to land one of those guys in the 4th round. We'll see how things are looking. Okay, first round is under wraps. We got JT, JJ, Christian McCaffrey, Cooper Kupp, Jamar Chase, Austin Eckler, Stephon Diggs, and Derrick Henry off of the board. Into the 9th round, we've got Najee Harris off the board, but we still got a couple more selections until we're on the clock. So looking at 16 overall, so a little bit of an update here. We've got Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce moved up the rankings a little bit through ESPN's platform. They were a little bit lower in the past week or so. So I may be going with Kelce at 17 overall. And listen, guys, looking at ESPN's ADP, it's against ADP, but really, I mean, we've done mock draft after mock draft, subscriber mock draft after subscriber mock draft, and Travis Kelce is not lasting past the 15th selection, okay? It's really going closer to the 11th selection. In a 8-team league, pick 16 or 17, I think realistically makes sense. So we'll go ahead and we'll take a look here. Man, I really like the idea of going with an extra running back here, but let's take a look at receiver overall. Tyreek Hill, Keenan Allen, Higgins, Moore, and Evans all sitting there. I like the ceiling that Tyreek Hill brings, and I like that potential consistency that Keenan Allen or Mike Evans brings. If I was to go running back here, I'd probably go Kamara, quite frankly, even if he misses time. I mean, having JT to bring that stability, I don't really mind Kamara on this team, but let's just go ahead. Let's get our tight end out of the way. For me, it's Kelce over Andrews, and I don't mind Kelce at pick 15, pick 16 whatsoever. So I'm not going to take a quarterback this early, but it's kind of tough here looking at running backs and receivers available. There's going to be a lot of good running backs throughout this draft, but gosh, there's going to be even more good receivers throughout this draft. So I'm going to go Kamara here. And listen, I mean, Kamara RB8 last season in full PPR, and he missed 4 games. So the question right now with Kamara is he going to miss time at the beginning of the season? And it doesn't quite look like that, because his court date is set for September 29th, or is he going to miss time at the end of the season, right? I think this is going to be very similar to what we saw the year that Ezekiel Elliott was suspended, where we're going to have a court date throughout the year that, you know, we could have new court dates, right? We could have different hearings. I mean, it's going to be a little bit messy, right? It's going to be a wild ride if you do draft Alvin Kamara, but when he is on the field, he is going to be an absolute stud for you. So I like that positional advantage in an 8-team league. So right now we've got two disadvantages working against us with this roster. The first disadvantage is that we've got two running backs on the same bye week, and those are our two stud running backs in JT and Alvin Kamara. So for the remainder of this draft, we have to really pay attention to bye weeks and stay away from week 14 over. All outside of that, we don't have a huge advantage quite yet at the receiver position in terms of positional advantage. But I'm telling you guys, whether you draft an 18 league or a 14-team league, you're going to see value at the receiver position through the entire draft. Like I said, if I did go receiver in that last round, I would have gone either Tyreek Hill, just bringing that nice ceiling even with the change of scenery, or Mike Evans, who just brings that incredible consistency on a weekly basis. Nonetheless, here in the third round, we've got Alvin Kamara, Aaron Jones, Tyreek Hill, Mark Andrews, Josh Allen, our first quarterback, gone, and Javonte Williams off the board. Two more selections here in the third round. So for me, I definitely want you to start to look to the receiver position at pick 32 and pick 33. Probably we're going to be going double receiver. There's really no question about it. Just the two best available receivers. We need to go ahead and fill up that void. So Keenan Allen's gone at 23. And looking ahead to the receiver position, I mean, if Saquon Barkley falls out here, we might just go with a heavy RB build and just create a really high ceiling between JT, Kamara, and Barkley. That would be a lot of fun. And then maybe just go with one receiver and then really just ramp up the receiver selections throughout the rest of the draft. But we'll see. I mean, if Mike Evans or Barkley somehow fall out here to 32, those are the two guys I would consider. So Leonard Fournette is your final selection in the third round. Going into the fourth round, we've got James Conner off the board. I highly doubt that Evans falls out here, and I highly doubt that Barkley falls out. But looking at the board, it's possible. So James Conner gone at 25. Josh Jacobs gone at 26. So we'll see what happens here. We've got 5 more selections until we get those double selections. I mean, best case scenario, Barkley and Evans fall out, but I highly doubt that happens, right? So if I don't think I'll take Chubb or Zeke. I mean, I like both Chubb and Zeke, but I just think we have more of a need at the receiver position. So AJ Brown's a lot of fun, but man, Deontay Johnson in later rounds, Devonta Smith, not Deontay Johnson. I was looking right at Johnson and said his name, but Devonta Smith in later rounds, just a guy I really have been enjoying targeting. But you guys just look at the available receivers. I mean, 26 through 56, we've just got a plethora of talent sitting here. So in 8-team leagues, man, you're going to see so much value at receiver. So if we could land another high ceiling boomer bust type guy like Saquon here, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't want to get too excited. So DJ Moore's gone. Michael Pittman's gone. Got 3 more selections till we select again. And I mean, listen, I like the start to this team. Okay, 2 running backs, Taylor and Kamara. And oh my gosh, Akers is gone. Higgins is gone. Team Jacobs, who's on his team? He's got 2 running backs and a receiver. He could really go in any direction here, right? But if we land Barkley and Evans here, okay, he goes Evans. I was like, there's no way we're going to land both those guys, right? No way. All right, so give me Barkley. Gosh, what a start to the running back room. Taylor, Kamara, and Barkley. Just think about that ceiling on a weekly basis, okay? Jaylen, Waddle, or AJ Brown. Those are my 2 top guys. Like I said, I really like Devonta Smith in later rounds. He's just such a good value. I mean, 80th overall through ESPN. And I mean, just such a good value. I think he's going to have a really good year, too. AJ Brown is a little bit more exciting from a fantasy perspective. Our next pick is at 48. I really like Mike Williams here. But really, right now, I'm looking for a guy I can rely on as a wide receiver 1. Let's go Jaylen Waddle, just because I think he brings a little bit more consistency overall. But I really like the idea of AJ Brown there. If there goes AJ Brown as the next selection at 34. I mean, if Devonta Smith wasn't such a high target for me in later rounds, then AJ Brown's a guy. I mean, I think it's very realistic that AJ Brown has a better year than Jaylen Waddle. But what I like about Waddle is just that strong chemistry with Tua in PPR formats. I like Waddle a lot. I think he's going to have just a really consistent year. I think he's going to have a good year in the red zone. And he's just kind of that security blanket overall for Tua. And Tua's going to need a little bit of security blanket this year as well. So I'll go Waddle there. Am I in love with Waddle as a wide receiver 1 on a roster? Not necessarily, but when we look at the build of this team, right, our upside is coming from the running back and the tight end position. And it's absolutely there between JT, Kamara, Barkley, and Kelsey. So I think as long as we hit on the right receivers throughout the rest of this draft, then I'm completely fine with the start to this build as a whole. All right, so into the 5th round here, Waddle, AJ Brown, Chubb, Ezekiel Elliott, George Kittle, and Breece Hall off the board. 2 more selections here in the 5th before we move into the 6th. There goes Justin Herbert. I believe that's our 2nd QB off the board with Josh Allen in the 3rd round already gone. So yep, Herbert's our 2nd QB. So it's a good, and that brings up a good point, right? For me, in 8-team formats, when it comes to the quarterback position, you know, we always want to go for positional advantages at as many positions possible in 8-team drafts. But I really just think with as many 8-team drafts as I've done in the offseason, you can hold off a bit. Like, there's a point where if Josh Allen's sitting there, like, I'm not going to pass up Josh Allen in the 5th round, right? There's a point with Herbert, if we're in the 6th or 7th round, that I'm going to strongly consider Herbert, because I think those guys have the best chance to be quarterback 1 on the season. But if I don't hit on those guys at really good value, then Jalen Hurts is someone you can get in very late rounds. Joe Burrow is somebody you can get in very late rounds. And if you miss that tier, you've still got Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Matthew Stafford, Trey Lance. I mean, you've got all kinds of possibilities in late rounds at the quarterback position. So we'll just kind of keep an eye on Jalen Hurts and Burrow. I mean, and honestly, Murray, Jackson, and Mahomes, because if they fall out at a certain point, then I'm still going to take them as well. So moving into pick 48, my top target here is going to be Mike Williams. I don't quite know that he's going to be available at 48, but I mean, Deontay Johnson and Mike Williams are the best receivers on the board, in my opinion. And I do think we're going to go double receiver at 48 and 49. Undoubtedly, we need, I mean, there's just nobody really at running back. I mean, I like Etienne and Mitchell and even Dobbins and Monty and Gibson, all to some degree, but we just don't need another running back. I think we're going to be able to hit a lot of good late round value at running back. AJ Dillon, James Cook, Rashad Penny. I think there's plenty of guys in later rounds that we can take a look at overall. We don't need a tight end. So like I said, we can still hold off at quarterback. So I would love to land Mike Williams here, bring a nice ceiling, nice boomer bust type guy to the wide receiver 2 spot on this roster. But if he does not fall out, then I'll probably go Hollywood Brown. I really like Mooney. I think Mooney brings a lot of consistency to this roster, and we're going to land Deontay Johnson to Mike Williams regardless. So listen, Deontay Johnson is your wide receiver 8 in PPR last season. I get it, Big Ben's not there anymore, but I honestly don't really care. I think Trubisky, in my opinion, is going to start the year at quarterback, and I think Johnson's just going to be peppered with targets, and I get that he had really good chemistry with Big Ben, but I think Johnson's going to be fine. So we'll go Mike Williams, and then with this next selection at 49, we'll go Deontay Johnson. And man, I think we got really good value right there. I truly do. I'm actually surprised that we landed both of those players. So looking ahead to picks 64 and 65, it's possible that we go double receiver again. It just kind of depends on who's sitting around at the wide receiver position and what quarterbacks have or have not been taken. Something I've been messing around a little bit more with in 8-team mocks is selecting 2 quarterbacks, just because there's so much value at the position in later rounds that, I mean, you can really chalk up some really good potential trade value for your season if anything happens to a team that only drafts 1 quarterback. But generally speaking, in redraft formats, I'm not really a big fan of selecting 2 quarterbacks, but what it ensures is that you have a bona fide stud at the quarterback position all season long. But in redraft formats, I mean, I will say, right, having 2 quarterbacks to decide between on a weekly basis, like, are you going to start Kyler Murray or are you going to start Joe Burrow? It can be a headache, right? And it can end up hurting you on a weekly basis. But I don't know. I just think having that potential trade value and a bona fide quarterback on the bench and as a starter could be beneficial in 8-team draft. So we'll see what happens at the quarterback position as we come up on pick 64 and 65. We'll see who is available. I mean, if Kyler Murray and Lamar Jackson are still sitting there, you know, then I might go out and just take them, because I think they might be the best available players. But we still need wide receiver depth. We've got Waddle, Mike Williams, and Deontay Johnson on this squad so far. Running backs, we got JT, Kamara, and Barkley. Tight end, we're looking strong with Kelsey. So I still like the start to this team quite a bit. Looking at the receiver position, I mean, I would love to land Hollywood Brown or Amon-Ra St. Brown. I like Gabe Davis. I like Allen Robinson a lot. I mean, I just really like the change of scenery for him as Juju's taken off the board. I like Hunter Renfrow. I like Bateman. I like Devonta Smith. I like Elijah Moore. I mean, Hopkins is a player that I really like targeting in 18 drafts, just because down the stretch he's going to bring some really good value to your roster. So there are a ton of good receivers hanging around, and that is one of the reasons why you can potentially not necessarily target positional value at receiver early on. I mean, really, we went heavy running back, tight end early for this build. We still got Jaylen, Waddle, Mike Williams, and Deontay Johnson. So in an 8-team build, I do think that, you know, receiver is still very important, right? Positional value is always going to be important. But man, the more and more I mess around with it and staying away from receiver early, I still really end up liking these teams overall. Nonetheless, in the 8th round here, we got Cooks, Juju, Gabe Davis, Kareem Hunt, Michael Thomas, Hollywood Brown, and Amon-Ra St. Brown gone. So I'll go ahead and I'll take Allen Robinson off the board. And man, I'm going to go Lamar Jackson here. I'm going to take a QB. I really like Hunter Renfrow. If he falls out to 80, we're going to take Renfrow. If I didn't go with a QB there, I would have gone Renfrow. But we'll see who falls out at the receiver. I think at 80 and 81, we're going to go QB and best available receiver again, and then just load up at running back and try and get a late round flyer at receiver to finish out the draft. So I think we're in a good spot. We could consider a late round tight end just to have someone for Kelsey's bye week, but I just don't know if we're necessarily going to need to. I mean, we could just stream someone in week 8 theoretically, right? So moving into round 9, Lamar Jackson's gone at 65, Amari Cooper's gone, and Darren Waller is gone. So I won't be surprised if we start to see a little bit of a run at the QB position as it starts to thin out. But man, if we could land like a Joe Burrow at 80 and just another stud receiver, I mean, we might even be able to hold off at QB. I don't know. We'll see who's available. We'll see who's on the board. I don't really have a problem reaching for a player who I want at this point in the draft, because I think we got a lot of good value. I think we started off this draft in a really good fashion. I mean, Jackson at QB, Kelsey at tight end, still got JT, Kamara, and Barkley. I mean, just the ceiling between those three running backs when healthy and playing is wild. Waddle, Williams, Deontay Johnson, and Allen Robinson. I think we're in a really good spot. All right, Drake London's gone. Hunter Renfro's gone. I don't know why I thought Renfro might fall out. There's no way that was happening. So looking at receiver, I mean, Devonta Smith is my guy at this point in the draft. I like Bateman. I keep passing on Lockett. I don't necessarily dislike Lockett, but it's just, there's a point with Lockett where I'm not going to pass on him, but it's just not a player I've necessarily been targeting. I like Elijah Moore, and I like DeAndre Hopkins. I still like the idea of taking a chance on Treylon Burks, but I like Chris Olave as well. Tyler Boyd is really my late round receiver that I want on my squad. So looking at ADPs, Devonta Smith is my top target at receiver. And I think next round we go after Hopkins or Elijah Moore. Looking at running backs as we want to start adding some depth. I mean, for me, A.J. Dillon is a guy. I like Tony Pollard a lot. Rashad Penny. I like James Robinson at this point in the offseason. I like James Cook. Love Dameon Pierce at his current ADP. And I still like Algier and Henderson. So I think we've got plenty of good late round running back value sitting around. I mean, A.J. Dillon is a player I want on this team. I don't have a problem reaching for A.J. Dillon. He's been going very, very early in our subscriber mock drafts. But I think we can hold off one more round. So Devonta Smith is here. We're taking Devonta Smith, and Joe Burrow's here. So we kind of have that upside type quarterback in Lamar Jackson, who brings that rushing upside. And then we've got the opposite in Joe Burrow, who all of his upside comes from throwing the football. So I like those two quarterbacks, right? We've got two different play styles and some trade value down the road if we needed an, oh my gosh, of course I would do this, right? Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow have the same bye week, so we're definitely probably looking at trade value. Just choosing between those two guys on a weekly basis would be a headache, but hey, it definitely secures positional value at the quarterback position throughout the season, except for week 10, where we might have 3 quarterbacks on this theoretical roster. Nonetheless, continuing into the 11th round, we got Kadarius Toney, Aaron Rodgers. D-Hop is gone. He's someone I would have really liked to see fall out here. Brandon Ayuk is gone. TJ Hawkinson is gone. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is gone. Russell Wilson is gone. And into the 12th round we go. Christian Kirk is gone. Garrett Wilson is gone. So my top targets here at 96 and 97 would be Elijah Moore and AJ Dillon. Those are the 2 guys that I want here undoubtedly. Then we'll just go ahead and we'll pick the best late round running back to end out this draft. I mean, I think in terms of full PPR, having JT, Kamara, and Saquon, we're in a pretty good spot at running back, but we want to try and get some youth and some younger guys as well. So AJ Dillon is a guy that I absolutely love this season. And listen, guys, realistically, right, based off of our subscriber mock drafts, whether you're drafting in the 8-team league, a 14-team league, 10, 12, whatever it is, you're not going to see AJ Dillon last this long in mock drafts. But for the sake of today's mock draft, we'll go ahead and we'll take him off the board. So Elijah Moore is gone, and that really takes us into the next tier of wide receivers for me. It's probably Chris Olave or Treylon Burks available, who I like the most. Let's go ahead and take AJ Dillon off the board. I still like Tony Pollard here. And I don't know, man. We've taken, let's see, we got Waddle, Williams, Deontay Johnson, Allen Robinson, and Devonta Smith at receiver. So I think we can land Tyler Boyd at 112. So I'm going to go with an additional running back here. And listen, any of these selections are fine. Tony Pollard, Ramondre Stevenson, Chase Edmonds, Robinson, Penny and Walker. And an interesting point at the time that I'm filming this video, I like James Cook. I like Dameon Pierce. Let's just go Tony Pollard for today's mock draft, and just note that we had a plethora of running backs to choose from, but we'll go with a handcuff, a youthful guy in Tony Pollard, and I'm fine with that. And really, to finish out this draft, we could take another running back like a Dameon Pierce, or we could add to that receiver depth and take a guy like Tyler Boyd. I think either way, we finish out this draft in good fashion. I think this is a great team from head to toe, and that's kind of where, you know, taking additional quarterback can also hurt you in terms of depth, because I like the value of AJ Dillon and Tony Pollard there, but I wouldn't mind having an additional running back as well as another receiver on this roster. And because we have a second quarterback, we can't necessarily do that. I don't think we need an additional tight end, but just notes to make, you know, if you guys are planning on drafting 2 quarterbacks, it will obviously hurt your depth on the bench as well. So James Cook is gone and Tyler Boyd is gone. So I might not be going with an additional receiver. Let me know in the comments down below. Full PPR 8-team league, would you be happy with Waddle, Mike Williams, Deontay Johnson, Allen Robinson, and Devonta Smith? Because looking at available receivers, we probably have to go Treylon Burks here, who's got a lot of question marks around him, but could pay off. And I think the best move here is just to go with another running back, and I'm going to go with Dameon Pierce, who I think is going to be the RB1 for the Houston Texans. I mean, oh, we're on the clock here, so positional advantage, right? I think Justin Tucker already went. So let's go defense. Let's go with the Bills defense, although I don't mind streaming a defense in an 8-team league also, but we'll just go with the best available kicker to finish the night out. And yeah, I think we ended up with a good team here. I really do. A little bit less emphasis on the receiver position, but I still think we ended up with really good value at receiver throughout this draft, especially where we landed Mike Williams and Deontay Johnson. So here's basically your team at the end of the day. We got Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow at quarterback. We got JT, Kamara, and Saquon at running back. Just think about that ceiling. You know, when those guys are all active in the same week for fantasy, think about the ceiling with those 3 running backs. Then on the bench, I think we still got really good late round RB value in AJ Dillon, Tony Pollard, and Dameon Pierce. Tight end, we got Travis Kelce. We're good to go there. At receiver, we got Waddle, Mike Williams, Deontay Johnson, Allen Robinson, and Devonta Smith. So overall, just 5 receivers. You could definitely make the argument for 6. Like I said, if we didn't get the additional quarterback, we'd probably have Tyler Boyd on this team as well. Maybe, I don't know, there'd probably be another receiver hanging around on this team, undoubtedly, whether it was over Pollard, whether it was over Joe Burrow, you know, maybe Elijah Moore over Joe Burrow, or Tyler Boyd over Tony Pollard. But nonetheless, I still think we ended up with a good squad and enough receivers to make it through the season. So let's go ahead and take a kicker. Let's just go with Tyler Bass, and we'll call this thing a day. So if you did enjoy today's content, be sure to hit that like button down below, hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel, and feel free to drop any comments down below pertaining to the 2022 fantasy football season. If you do draft in an 8-team league this year, please let me know what you guys thought of this roster overall, and feel free to drop any comments with any mock draft requests, whether it is a pre-recorded video like this one or a live subscriber mock draft that we can get set up through Discord, which the link is in the description down below. Let me know and we'll get it on the schedule. And here is a final look at the team. We got JT, Kelsey, Kamara, Barkley, Waddle, Williams, Deontay Johnson, Allen Robinson, Lamar Jackson, Devonta Smith, Joe Burrow, AJ Dillon, Tony Pollard, Dameon Pierce, the Bills defense, and Tyler Bass. I think a great team from head to toe. I think we got a lot of good value throughout this draft. A little RB heavy to start, the tight end sprinkled in there, but I still think we got, this string at receiver, Waddle, Williams, Johnson, and Robinson could really pay off. I just really like this team from head to toe. So that'll do it. There's another mock draft in the books. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button on the way out. And with that, I'll say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, you saw it here on The Catch.